The bride and groom need a vodka soda. I've been DJing for 7 years, and for the last 6, I've made over 6 figures for myself and myself alone. And there's an industry secret that I've noticed that nobody seems to be talking about, and most DJs seem to be ignoring. So in this video, I'd like to talk to you about that and what it is to be the bouncer of the vibe. And it might sound cliche, but I had a story for you that I've been thinking about all weekend, and it's something that I just want to share with all of you because, nobody knew what happened, but I did. And if I didn't handle it a certain way, a wedding for over 250 people would have gone so much worse than it did, and it ended up popping off and going nuts, and it was awesome. So here's the thing. I was doing a wedding for a hotel. Obviously there's a couple, but it was at a very nice hotel chain. And for some reason, instead of having like one coordinator, one front of house person, one person doing the kitchen and stuff, they had like 8 people just doing whatever needed to happen all night. Whether it's flowers need to be set, okay, cool. Now they're doing the waiting of the tables. Now they're bartending, same person doing all 3 things. I'm just like, wow, these people are really throwing a lot onto their own plates. And because of that, there was a whole lot of anxiety at this wedding behind the scenes. All the guests, nobody ever knew this because I never let them. And I got to tell you, if you can take this one tip into your own practice and just really understand that as the DJ, when you walk in there, like think about what you think of when you think of a bouncer. Cock diesel, huge dude who's just not letting you through unless you pass a certain test. And I am the gatekeeper. That's the whole thing. And if you think about yourself that way, not as a jerk, but when you walk in, it's like, I'm the bouncer of the vibe. And if anything at all seems like it's going to come in here that's going to ruin that, I'm not letting it in. See ya. It's not happening. Nope. Sorry. It doesn't happen tonight. Nope. Not tonight. Not having it. Right. And so what ended up happening was these people who were working and just doing so many more jobs than just one coordinator would just be doing one coordinating job. One caterer doing one caterer job. These people were having all the hats at one time, and the way that they were talking to us vendors was so stressful and full of anxiety. And this happens at every gig that you go to because it's either going to be the club owner or the promoter or the person whose house you're at throwing a birthday party. Whoever is throwing the party, they're always nervous in the setup phase. And while, because they've been doing a whole bunch of stuff leading up to it, and they're just really nervous. They're always nervous. They're not used to handling anxiety. So the way they talk to you is very full of anxiety. And you're just like, it's very easy to let that go onto the microphone. But remember, you're the bouncer, and nothing happens until you make it happen to the crowd. So you're the last person. You're the doorway to the crowd and to the club. And there's all this other stuff happening back here, but none of the people in the club are allowed to feel this because you're the bouncer and you're the one who's supposed to keep all that stuff out. And once you crack the mic, that's an industry term, once you hit the microphone and turn it on, all of that anxiety, it has to woosah. It's just got to be gone from your whole being. Otherwise, they're all going to feel it in front of the house. And that means the people, the guests, and the clients, right? The bride and groom, they're nervous about enough. The caterer is nervous. The coordinator's nervous. The photographer's nervous. Everybody wants to do well. So the key to this, the industry secret, is that you have to be the one person in the room that is the most comfortable. If you can do that and just be the bouncer for all of those nerves and all that anxiety and keep it all behind you, so that any time that you are in front of the crowd, all they see is your calming presence in a world full of chaos. Oh my God, I promise you, your bookings are going to skyrocket. Because think of this, you're the bride and groom, you're spending thousands of dollars on something. Or your family is, whatever. I mean, either way, you're spending thousands of dollars on this and you only get one crack at it. You're so nervous. If you can hire somebody that makes you feel comfortable throughout the whole year of planning leading up to it, and then during the process, and then actually executes even better than you thought they might on the day of, aren't you going to go tell your friends, like, yo, you're getting married? That's the guy. You got to hire him. Please. I'm telling you, he's amazing. He took all my nerves and just put it in a little box and just shoved it out the window. It made me feel so comfortable on my big day. I'm telling you, this is the biggest thing that I can tell you I mean, it works for more than just weddings too, because I mean, promoters, they're all nervous. They want to fill the club and make sure that they don't lose money on the night. And you can talk to them, that you can let them be nervous to you. But then once you go do your thing, you're the calming presence. So the story that I'll leave you with, quick one to get out of here. This is what happened the other night. There was one of these guys that was part of like the crew of 8 that was just like running this whole thing. The way he spoke to us for anything was just as if the world was falling apart. So he comes running out of the bridal suite, which is like back where the bride's getting ready. And me and the officiant are just chilling in the hallway where cocktail hour was, because we just moved everybody into the reception. And they're all getting seated and getting ready. And the wedding party's in the back, getting ready to come out and do their whole thing. But like me and the officiant are just like just chilling. And this guy, one of the 8, we'll call him James. James just runs up from the bridal suite and he's like, "The bride and groom need a vodka soda." And we're all just like, okay, I think the bar's right there. And at that moment, the bartender pops up and he's just like, "Oh, hey, did you need something?" And the guy runs over, he's like, "The bride and groom need a vodka soda." And I'm just thinking to myself, like, wow, this guy like really gives a shit. That's awesome. It's cool that he does. But dude, he better not be talking to me with that level of stress when we start having to execute things throughout the night. I actually thought he was a part of the wedding party. Turns out he's like working. He's one of these 8 people. So fast forward and it goes to the part where we're going to do the introductions. I've got a full ballroom of 250 people, a full wedding party coming out of like, I think it was like 6 different sets of names, and then the wedding couple. And they wanted to do it to Thunderstruck, which means that you kind of have to loop it ahead of time, do the whole intro, keep it in a certain place so that once it's ready for the bride and groom to come out, then it's, "You've been thunderstruck," and everybody goes nuts. There's a lot of thinking and planning that goes into that. I have to be right. And that's what I want you to take away from this video today. It's like, you have to be right. You've got to execute. You're the one that the guests are going to think is a POS if you screw something up on the biggest moment of these people's lives. There's 250 people coming in. You can see how passionate about this that I am, because this guy really almost screwed it up for everyone. And if I let him, he would have. But here's what happened. They're ready to come in. They're in the back, the wedding party. The coordinator is back with them. And she says to me, my table is all the way across the room. So once I leave her, there's no communication. She says to me, "When I give you the thumbs up, that means that we're ready to start." I said, "Cool." I went over to my table, and here comes this dude. James is walking over to me, and I just think to myself, "Oh, Jesus, James, don't you do this to me." He goes, "Okay, they're ready to go. You ready? Do it now." And I said, "Okay, it doesn't work like that." Just like that. I put my hand in his face. I said, "It doesn't work like that. I appreciate you, James. Hold on one moment." And then I just calmly walked over to my DJ equipment. James is out of my head. We'll start when I start. I know what needs to happen. And so I'm getting my programs ready. I'm getting everything. My cue points are all set up. I'm ready to go. "Okay, James, are we ready to rock?" "Hold on one second. No, don't start yet. She said don't start yet." And I'm just like, okay, no big deal. But I'm not freaking out, because I know that we start when I'm ready. And he is now trying to, like, I knew when he was like, "Start it now." I'm like, "No, just get out of here." And I said kindly but firmly, "It doesn't work like that. Give me one moment." And I implore you to please use that. If somebody's trying to talk to you with their stress and dump it on you right before you're about to get on the microphone, it doesn't work like that. If you're in radio, you don't talk to the host. You don't talk, as a producer, you don't come up to the host with a whole bunch of stress right before they hit the open microphone. That's insane. But these people don't know that. So I just really want to make sure that you understand. If they're trying to bring you that stress, that's fine, but just make sure that they understand. They got to go over here, get your stuff ready, and then execute the moment. And I crushed it, dude. I crushed it. I had 250 people, out of their chairs, just going completely nuts. It was a night to remember, and nobody in front of the house ever knew of any of the stress that came up throughout the night from all of these 8 people and James running up to me every 2 seconds. "This has to happen." I mean, it kept happening. Like we were supposed to do the bouquet toss at the end of the night at like 11:45. I went up to the bride at 11:40. I was like, "Hey, bouquet toss coming up in 5. You ready for it?" She's like, "I'm really not even feeling it. Let's just not even do it." I said, "Okay, cool, no problem. We got more room to dance then." She's like, "Cool." And then like 4 minutes later, like the coordinator comes up to me, just like doing this to me. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I think a non-seasoned DJ would just be like, all right, well, fine. It's time for the bouquet toss. The bride just told me I don't want to do that right now. And so I said to the coordinator, I was like, nah, she doesn't want to do it. And she's like, well, she said she wanted to do it. I said, oh, go talk to her. And you got to remember that you're on stage right now. And so like, you can't have arguments, visible arguments with people when they're telling me, do it now, do it now, do it now. I just very calmly, I'm like, it's not going to happen. She doesn't want to do it. But they told me she wants to do it. Go talk to her. She just told me. Like, you know what's going on. But to that point, you better make sure you know what's going on. And you better make sure that you're paying attention. It just really frustrates me when every single time somebody tells me to do something, they're wrong about it, and they're boastful about it, and they're big about it, and they're loud about it, and they're consistently loudly wrong. It's really hard to take all that stress and that frustration. Literally, they came up to me after that, and she told me to do the bouquet. I told her it wasn't happening. She went out to the dance floor, interrupted the bride dancing with her groom, just to ask her the same question I totally just got the answer from. And the bride's like, yeah, I don't want to do it. And I watched the whole thing. I turned around. I just went, ah, so that nobody could see me and no one can hear me. But I had to let out some frustration because there was just so much stress in this entire event. And it was all coming to me. But I was so proud of myself at the end of the night for remaining as the bouncer for the vibe. And if it's going to kill the vibe, I'm not letting it through. I hope you take this to heart. I hope this means something to you. And I hope you use this in your practice. Remember, though, there's a difference of being the bouncer of the vibe and being a dick and not doing something and not being flexible. I'm not saying to do that. Be as flexible as possible within the vibe. And make sure that you're letting these people have a blast, doing the things that they want, taking requests, making sure that it's just keeping within the vibe. But if it's not, don't let it in. And don't let anybody else tell you that you need to. Because it's your job. That's what the client hired you to do. And if anybody else tells you that you need to do it, well, you can go talk to the bride and groom, because I'm not going to do that right now. Unless they want to, but I'm sorry. That's just not what's happening. There's ways to get around it. I hope this works for you. Good luck. And please throw it in the comments what you think. How you would have handled this situation. Have you ever dealt with something like this in your past? Because it happens more often than not. And I want you to learn from this. I want you to be confident about what you bring to the table. Because if something doesn't fit the vibe, it ain't getting past you.